Hello, my name is Samantha Nava, and this is my presentation on creating a safe environment for my KIN 212 class. I will be talking about elder abuse, child abuse, sexual assault, and domestic violence. Just a heads up, there was a lot of information on the slide, so I'm not going to read through every single bullet point. I just want to touch and talk about the important stuff. So let's go ahead and begin with elder abuse. So elder abuse is abuse on an elderly person, okay? And this can be physical, okay? It can be sexual abuse, it can be abandonment, isolation, it can be financial, and financial meaning that theft, misuse of funds or property, extortion, and fraud. And it can be neglect as well, so failure to provide food, clothing, shelter, or health care for an individual under one's care when the means to do so are available, and mental suffering. Some of the warning signs to look for if you suspect elder abuse is if they have an injury, some sort of injury, their explanation for an injury is inconsistent with its possible cause. Personal belongings, papers, or credit cards are missing. The elders appear hesitant to talk openly. So some symptoms that you would see on an elderly who is being abused or you suspect of being abused is the elders abuse victims often lived in silent desperation. They are unwilling to seek assistance because they believe their cries for help will go unanswered. They also fear that if they do say something, that no one will believe them because of their old age. And then also, they sometimes choose to remain silent to protect abusive family members from the legal consequences of their crimes. And some of the common causes as to why the elders are abused is because the caretakers sometimes feel there's stress associated with providing care and assistance to frail, highly dependent elderly people. So usually the caretakers, whether it's immediate family or someone from the nursing home, feel a lot of pressure, and they don't really have the patience to be working with the elderly. There's also abusers feel that they don't receive enough benefit or recognition from their relationship. And so these are just some of the common causes. So as far as resources, if you suspect of anyone who's being abused, these are some of the websites that you can go to, or the elderly who is being abused can go to. And then 911 is always a good community resource as well. So moving on to child abuse. So child abuse is defined when a parent or caregiver, whether through action or failing to act, causes injury, death, emotional harm, or risk of serious harm to a child. So this can be through physical abuse, through neglect, so where they fail to provide basic needs for the child, sexual abuse, mental or emotional suffering, abandonment, where the child is left alone under no supervision, and substance abuse, where the parent exposes the child to drugs. Some of the warning signs if you suspect child abuse would be the child shows sudden changes in behavior or school performance. They always are watchful as though preparing for something bad to happen. They have trouble concentrating. And then they come to school or other activities early, and they stay late, and they don't really want to go home. Some of the symptoms would be that they have unexplained burns, bites, bruises, broken bones, or black eyes. They seem frightened of their parents, and they always protest to go home, or they're frequently absent from school. They're dirty and have severe body odor. Usually in middle school or high school level, they start abusing alcohol or other drugs. And again, these are just some of the symptoms. So some of the common causes would be parental factors. maybe the parents were abused as children and they are just repeating the cycle. The parents are they are on drugs. They can lack knowledge of childhood development. Childhood factors would be that the child's age. So usually childs are the ones who are abused more than teens, just because they're smaller and easier to pick on as well. There would be family factors and environmental factors as well. So some of the resources, if you suspect child abuse, would be the National Child Abuse Hotline. There's a child abuse and neglect reporting where they will explain to you how to write out the mandated report if you suspect child abuse, and of course 911. So moving on to sexual assault. So sexual assault is defined as unwanted, coerced, and or forced sexual penetration and or touch without consent. And this can be on a minor, or this can be on adult as well. So which is why I put both sexual assault in children and in adults. So for children, they have trouble sitting or walking. They start displaying knowledge or interest in sexual acts, which is not appropriate for the age. They start making an effort to avoid a specific person. And then this one usually more common in ages 14 and this one, a sexually transmitted disease or pregnancy, especially under the age of 14. So if someone is under the age of 14 and either they get pregnant or there's an STD, this would be one of the signs. As far as an adult, they have problems concentrating and staying focused on the task at hand, guilty feelings. They develop negative self-image, feeling dirty inside or out, anger, depression, and then loss of interest in sex. So some of the symptoms vary completely from person to person, and they can have physically, emotional, or mentally. Again, they just vary from person to person. Kind of going back to the other slide, so where it says developing a negative self-image, feeling dirty, so that would be something that can be mentally. And then emotionally, they're maybe not all there. They either develop very negative, they become very violent, or maybe they become more withdrawn from society or from their friends. Or again, it just varies from person to person. So some common causes. This is one that stood out to me. So sexual assault happens because a perpetrator believes that they are entitled to have a sex or sexual contact with another person without the person's consent. And it kind of just goes just to the feel to overpower that person and control. So if these are some of the community resources, if you suspect sexual assault, these are some of the hotlines that you can call. I also put up the National Child Abuse Hotline, and then 911. Moving on to domestic violence. So domestic violence is a pattern of behaviors used by one partner to maintain power and control over another partner in an intimate relationship. Okay, this can be marriage or someone who is living with a partner. They can be dating, engaged. That's what domestic violence is. So as far as warning signs, there's a lot of warning signs. So I'm just going to briefly go over some of them. So abuser tells the victim that they can never do anything right. They control what the victim sees, where they go, what they do. They usually don't. They control the money in the household and they don't really give the victim any money for necessary expenses. For those who have children, the victim is told that they are a bad parent, or they get threatened to that their children will be harmed or taken away, and they intimidate the victim with guns, knives, or other weapons. Symptoms of someone who's going through domestic violence: they're going to feel agitation or anxiety. They're going to not be able to really relax or sleep because they're always so just anxious. They're going to feel a sense of hopelessness and despair because they feel like they were never going to escape their abuser. And some people believe that they deserve to be abused. So again, those were some of the symptoms. So some causes as far as to why does this happen is because one partner feels the need to control and dominate the other, and this can be because of their low esteem, jealousy, or maybe because they feel inferior to their other partner. Maybe their partner is making more money or has a better education. Also, the whole belief that women aren't equal to men is a big one. And then alcohol and drugs is another big one as well. And some community resources, they have the National Domestic Violence Hotline, as well as the website where you can call and get resources and know what to do. And there's a National Dating Abuse Helpline as well. And then there is a 911. And these are the my works cited, so all the links and websites that I went to obtain my information. And that is the end of my presentation, and thank you so much for watching.